Your clients aren't quitting because your program is bad. 2 years ago, I had 900 videos in mine and I thought that I was over delivering. I was actually just overwhelming people into quitting. And here's what most coaches don't realize. In an AI world where the answer is ready in 30 seconds, information has stopped being a product altogether. And the thing is, if your delivery is still built around dumping it on people, you're not over delivering. You're competing with free and losing at the back end of your business every single month. So in the next 14 minutes, I'll show you the 2 ways that delivery breaks, the 3 things that make a program sticky in 2026, and the back end mistake almost every coach is making while they stare at front end stats. And if you've been building this business for 6, 12, 18 months, you've signed clients and you keep watching them cliently leave around month 3, this one's for you. Quick thing before we dig in. I built a 900 video program myself. 6-figure business at the time, decent email list, plenty of clients, but I was bleeding people out the back door every single month. It felt like trying to fill up a bucket with holes in it. So if you're watching front end leads roll in while the back leaks like a sieve, I get it. All right, let's get into it. Here's what broken delivery actually looks like, and it comes in the form of 3 different patterns. Most coaches are running at least 2 of them. And just to be clear, you didn't get here by being lazy. The coaches in this position have been running for at least a year or 2. You're posting consistently, you've built the content, you've signed clients, you've done all the right work on the front end, and that's exactly why back end leaks feel so brutal. You did the work, and the leak isn't necessarily your fault, you just haven't seen this part of the system yet. So the first one is the info dump. The first one is the info dump. More modules, more frameworks, more worksheets, more access, more library content. And the thinking goes, if I stack enough into the program, they'll feel like they're getting value. The problem is your client doesn't actually want more information. They can get information anywhere they want for free in a couple of seconds from ChatGPT and Claude and Grok. What they're paying you for is implementation. Tell me what to do next given my specific situation right now. Information was the product 10 years ago, granted, but now it's a commodity. And if your delivery is built around just information, you're competing with free. The second one is the coach-shaped program. Built around what you like to teach, the frameworks you've developed, the lessons you find interesting, and the structure makes sense to you. None of that is what your client actually needs. The client needs a program designed around their first week, their first month, and the moment that they almost consider quitting. Because if your delivery doesn't have a clear answer for each of those moments, you're just leaving retention to luck. And the third one is measuring the wrong things. Because you know it and I know it. The thing that we like measuring is cost per lead, the conversion rate to the percent, the follow count to the digit. And almost none of them can tell me how many of your clients logged into your group this week, how many got a win in their first 7 days, how many are still active at day 30. The front end metrics tell you whether people are showing up, but the back end metrics tell you whether they're staying. And they're completely different things. Most coaches are only watching the first half of the business. I'll tell you how I found out about this. I was talking to a mate of mine, Toby, when I was running into this churn problem consistently. And the reason I messaged him is because he famously sold the world's largest fitness app for women, like in the entire world. Huge app, thousands and thousands of members. And he said the most important thing that we started to track wasn't how cheap it was to get people in, not how many dollars they paid us over their lifetime, but very specifically, could we engineer a quick win within the first 7 days of them joining the app, within the first 28 days, and then consistently build momentum off the back of those wins to keep them long term. It wasn't about the specific information, it was about the results the program was providing from the get-go. And if it's coming from somebody like him, you know it's good shit. So you guys can have that lesson too. So here's the shift. The old way of doing things The old way of doing things, and what you're probably stuck in right now with your delivery, is thinking that you need more videos, more modules, more information. Value, but measured in volume. The new way looks a little like this. Is a program built on a path, one clear sequence through the work, and going against the whole idea that volume is value. It's not. Sequence is, early wins are, and retention is. And the shift from the old way to the new way is changing from coaching as information delivery to coaching as implementation. Your job isn't to dump everything you know on them as soon as they get in and overwhelm them. Your job is to give them the right next thing at the right next moment and be there when they need a real answer to a real problem in their specific situation. Because in the AI world, that's the only thing that you can deliver that the robots can't. Information is free, but implementation is the product, and it requires experience from someone who's actually done the thing. And once you actually believe that, the way that you design your program changes overnight. And the 10K a month that most coaches are chasing, it stops being a moving target. It becomes the math of clients staying long enough to compound. So when I sit down with a coach inside the case study group and we're rebuilding their delivery, there's only 3 things that I'm looking for. And I call it the 3 M's: method, mirror, metric. Let me walk you through what happened when I figured this out. When I first built my program, it was on Telegram and it was dodgy and it was strapped together. And I thought that the more I gave people, the more they'd feel that they were getting for the value that they were paying. So I built a 900 video library. Every framework, every lesson, every concept I've ever taught, every technique that I knew, on camera, ready to go. And it was waiting to be consumed. And people joined and they were excited, but they opened the group on day one, saw 900 videos staring back at them, shut down the app, and didn't really return, knowing that that titanic amount of information was coming back for them as soon as they reopened it. It made it worse that it was also in a group chat format and that notifications would have been pinging them all day, every day, feeling like they had to catch up with everything, which was another problem, but we'll cover that in another video. And the reason they didn't come back wasn't because the content was bad. The content was actually pretty good, if I do say so myself. It was bad because there was no clear path straight through it. No obvious first step, no early win that told the new member they were in the right place. Just an overwhelming wall of information that made them feel behind before they'd even started. And this is a huge realization because most of you guys right now believe that more is better, more videos, more deliverables, more calls. But if they feel like they're behind before they even get started, what chance do they have for sticking around long term? When I actually went back and looked at the data, it was screaming at me, but I wasn't looking at it because the numbers on the front end were really good, but churn was killing the business from the inside out. People weren't staying long enough to actually get the result that I knew the program could give them. And so cost per acquisition, conversion rate, visitors to the page, they looked great, but the back end was on fire. So I had to strip the program back and most of the 900 videos got archived. I didn't delete them, but I took them off the main page. The ones that survived got rebuilt into a specific pathway. So day 1, here's what you do. Week 1, here's what you do. Month 1, here's what you do. Coaching over content and consulting over random curriculum. Same content underneath, but completely different delivery model. And the retention changed. Lifetime value changed, results changed because they were actually finishing the things instead of drowning in them. And here's the bit that nobody warned me about. My own delivery got easier. I had less things to maintain, less to update, more time in the trenches with my clients, getting them better results, and less time managing what video library I was creating. The program didn't get better by adding more. It got better the moment I stopped treating it like a video library as a delivery model. So here's the framework that you can install inside your own business to solve that same problem. 3 M's. We've got method, mirror, metric. And this is the order, by the way. Method first, then mirror, then metric. Because most coaches who try to fix retention reach for the metrics first because that's the spreadsheet move. And then they wonder why nothing improves. Metrics tell you what's broken. Method and mirror are what actually fix it. So Method is the implementation path that your clients walk through, not the content library, not the module collection, the actual sequence of moves. Mirror is the delivery designed around the client's experience. So what they see in their first week, what they see in their first month, and the specific moment where they almost quit. Metric is just the back-end numbers, not just the front-end acquisition ones, but the logins, the early wins, the day 30 active status. Thanks to Toby for that one. The data that tells you whether your delivery is actually working or not. Most coaches have none of these. Some have one, but almost nobody does all three right. When you get them all working together, the back end of your business stops leaking, clients stay, they win, and they even tell people about your program. And the front end starts to take care of itself. So, number one is method. And most coaches build their method around modules, frameworks, and video collections, thinking that more equals better. Your client can already get all that for free in 30 seconds from ChatGPT. So you're competing with free and losing. What your client is actually paying you for is implementation. They're stuck. They have all the information already. The smart ones do anyway because they've been trying to solve their problem. But what they don't have is the answer to what do I do with my specific situation right now. Take fat loss, for example. Anybody can open up Instagram, type in fat loss and go, how do I lose weight? And there will be a plethora of videos waiting for them. And yet, obesity is still one of the biggest problems plaguing the earth. So why is that? Well, information can't be the answer. And so if your program is full of it, you're actually doing your clients a disservice. I'm not saying at all for a second that you should have no information, but it should be designed in a specific way around implementation and more consulting rather than just an info dump that they can already get that they've proven they haven't done anything with. And I've got to lay this out specifically because I can hear the objection in your guys' head. But Josh, I've got course junkies in my program. They want the modules, they want the frameworks, they want all the library. Yeah, they want to feel like they're learning. They're not actually buying a transformation. They're buying the feeling of progress without the work, and that's what information provides. And those clients are the exact ones who stop paying around month 3. When that motivation feeling wears off and they realize that nothing's actually changed. So we're not going to optimize for those people. The fix is to flip delivery from content-led to coaching-led. 90% coaching and consulting, 10% material. Because the material exists to support the coaching, not to replace it. Your clients aren't paying for your library. They're paying because you've been where they're trying to go and they want you to tell them what to do next. That's the method. One path, implementation over information, coaching over content every time. The second M is mirror. And most coaches design their delivery around what they want, what they think is valuable, and the sunken cost fallacy of what they've already spent ages building. And by the way, I've done this before. I filmed an entire course that was built off Josh Waitskin's The Art of Learning because I love that concept. I love that ideology. And by the end of it, I realized it was just an interest, passion project for me and that my students weren't really going to get anything out of it. So I filmed it, I got it edited, and I never published it. If I still was stuck in the trap of thinking that information overload is better, I would have uploaded it. Nobody would have watched it, and I would have wasted that time thinking that I was delivering when I wasn't. Because none of this stuff right here is what your client actually needs. You've designed your program for yourself, and you're leaving retention to luck. A client-shaped delivery model looks completely different. It starts at, what does the client need to see in their first session? And then what do they need by the end of week 1 to know that this was actually the right decision? Because within a week, they're still second-guessing themselves of whether they want to do this or whether it's good for them or whether it's going to fit them, especially if you haven't dealt with their objections on the front side of things. They're going to be thinking about it. They're going to have doubts and questions, and if they aren't answered, they're gone. And the final moment is the one in month 2 where they're tempted to quit, and that needs to be caught, because if your program doesn't have a clear answer for each of those moments, the back end is leaking and you don't even know where. And yes, of course, some of you are going to be sitting there thinking, but yeah, Josh, it's easy for you to say. You got hundreds of clients to study, and that is true, but I didn't get there from the beginning. At the beginning, I only had 15 that I had to engineer that level of experience towards. The reason I actually have hundreds of people to look after is because I had to redesign everything, watch them go through the program, and I had to build in that second month dip and the 7-day win into the structure. The system is what actually gave me the scale, not the other way around. Because most coaches think they need to scale first, then design the system later. But that is a disaster waiting to happen. And it's actually the opposite. Build a system for your first 15 people, and then the hundreds of others who come in afterwards benefit from the system being built properly. The mirror principle is simple. Design your delivery from your client's seat, not yours. Watch them go through it. Note the moments where people drop off and where people have good wins, and then fix the holes. The third one that we're going to look at is metric. Most coaches can quote their front-end metrics. So their cost to acquire somebody, their conversion rate, and their members or followers number. And you guys will be the exact same, because I was when I was in your shoes. But almost none of you can tell me the back end stuff. Like, how many people logged in this week? How many people watched every video for the first 7 days? For the first 28 days? Did they post? Did they have a win? What's their frequency like within the group? Because the front end metrics tell you whether people are showing up, but the back end metrics tell you whether they're staying or not. And they are two very completely different things. And 90% of coaches are only watching half of their business. And here's why this matters. A couple of years ago, I invested about 10 grand into a mentorship, and it did pretty much nothing like what it described on the box. The reason I had a bad experience was because it was the same thing I was talking about. I got dumped in a group with a ton of information, years worth of live calls and Q&As, but it had no specific sequencing past the first 7 days. Like, the onboarding was okay. I knew kind of where I was going to go in the first 7 days, but when something specific came up for me, I couldn't actually do anything about it because there was no direct path. Like, here's week 1, here's month 1, here's month 2, here's month 3. And if you've ever paid for something like that and it didn't work, this is probably why. And you don't want to be the coach that's delivering that type of experience, because it sucks for both people. The person who's delivering the experience doesn't know why they aren't getting results, or why they drop off, or they stop paying, or they default on their payments. And the person going through it came in with all this motivation, all this energy, all this ambition, and then spent a month with you and went, it was better in the advertising than it was in the actual delivery. You don't want to have that experience for either of those people. So the way that we get around that is we track 3 numbers. 1, logins this week. Number 2 is 7-day wins. And number 3 is 30-day activity. Because if those numbers are healthy, your back end is healthy. Pause. And if they're not, no front end magic is going to save you. Trust me, you can pump your ad revenue. You can feed as many leads into the front end as possible. You can do the many chat automations. You can post 6 times a day. But if 15% each month of your business is going away because you're not getting these 3 things right on the back end, well, then in 6 months, half your business is gone. What happens if your cost per acquisition triples for no reason? What happens when ads get really expensive? What happens when you burn out because you can't be fucked making videos because your business is going like this and then slowly slipping down because you haven't fixed the back end? I've been there. I've done it. It sucks a big bag of dicks. I don't want you guys to go through the same thing. So make sure you're tracking the metrics properly. All right, we've covered a lot. So here's the line that I want you to walk away with. Info was the product 10 years ago. Implementation is the product now. Because the coach is hitting 10K a month consistently. They're not signing hundreds of more clients than you. They're keeping the ones that they do sell long term. The front end ends up taking care of itself when the back end isn't like a leaky bucket. And if your delivery is built like it's still 2015, you're not building a business. You're building a video library that nobody's watching. And you're on borrowed time. Quick recap. Your clients aren't leaving because your program is bad. They're leaving because your delivery model was designed around what value used to look like, not what it looks like today. 3 M's in order. Method, 1 implementation, 1 path, coaching over content, 90% coaching and consulting, 10% material. Number 2 is mirror, delivery designed from the client's perspective, not from yours. Their first session, their first week, the moment they almost quit, making sure that each of those moments are engineered deliberately so you don't lose people consistently. And number 3 is metric. So logins this week, day 7 wins, and day 30 activity. The back-end numbers tell you whether your business is going to compound or just refill leaky buckets forever. When you get the 3 M's running properly, you've stopped delivering a program and you've started building a business that clients stay in. Which, by the way, is the actual math behind hitting 10K months consistently. Because you think that your problem is more leads. It isn't. It's more people who stay in long term. Right, so now you've got the back end sorted. You need the part that actually brings the right people into your delivery in the first place. And that's the campaign. I call it campaign rhythm. It walks through the 4 content types that turn random months into weekly clients. And the link is going to be here or wherever YouTube decides to put it. And if it doesn't put it there, it's in the description. Watch that one next so that you can actually have your delivery be sticky for the people that do know about your stuff. Thanks for sticking with me. I'll catch you next week.